So now that you've completed the pre-course discussion, I welcome you to the lecture material to Module 1. We start with what is defensive communication. Defensive communication involves a self-perceived flaw that an individual refuses to admit to another person, a sensitivity to a flaw, and an attack by another person that focuses on this flaw. This is according to Stamp, Vangelisti, and Daly in 1992. So now we move into the characteristics of defensive communication. Gibb, 1961, developed 6 behavioral categories that conceptualize defensive communication: evaluative speech, control, strategy, neutrality, superiority, and certainty. So now we're going to dive into each one of these categories and also identify some examples. Evaluative speech. Some defensive communicators categorize others as good or bad and make evaluative judgments based on motive. An example of this might be a student who just after the first or second day of class says that a teacher either sucks or that they're really cool. Control. Some defensive communicators attempt to impose control over others by enforcing details, norms, and semantics. An example of this might be a controlling boyfriend or girlfriend who justifies their actions based on the norms of the relationship. Strategy. Some defensive communicators try to direct others by withholding information, providing abstract information, or changing topics. An example of this might be withholding information from your significant other. In a way, you manipulate their mind because you have information that they don't. Neutrality. When defensive communicators perceive neutrality from another person, they see it as a sign of hostility, and they similarly communicate indifference and lack of interest. An example of this might be a friend who is communicating neutrality in silence, and you see that as a sign of hostility instead of investigating as to see what's going on with that person. Superiority. Some defensive communicators perceive a superiority complex and are unwilling to establish mutual trust because they place emphasis on appearance, status, and power. An example of this might be an angry CEO who demands respect for his authority. Last, certainty. Some defensive communicators aim to win arguments rather than solve problems. And I think that we all know somebody like this. We all know somebody who's never wrong, and that might actually be because they're insecure about their intelligence